This is the Soul Podcast. It's too spicy for you. I'm King Sejong, reminding you that I could still whip Admiral Yi Shunshin's ass in a fair fight. Yeah, you and what flotilla of turtle ships? And here are your hosts, Emma Kalka and Joe McPherson.
And welcome to the Soul Podcast. This is Joe.
And I'm Emma.
And would this be where I say something?
Well, hi. We have a guest this week. We have a guest we've wanted to have on for a long time. Noted, oh my gosh. Hold on. Let me do the intro. I have an intro. I actually wrote an intro. Barri Tsavaris. Hi. Oh, okay. This is how I do this.
It's like, is that
I'm
the
a
intro?
horrible. Okay, no, the intro. Barri Tsavaris is
all
an
you need.
international voiceover talent. She was the voice of the 2018 Winter Olympics. She's known in Seoul as the Queen of Textbooks, and her voice welcomes countless passengers on Korea's high-speed KTX train each day. No, I didn't plagiarize that. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, great to have you. Okay, so we were having a lively conversation pre-show, and then when we go on, my mind just goes blank. So, Emma, you said
forget what we were talking
you were going to ask questions, weren't you? Emma,
I
you were
busted out a bottle of half-empty bottle of Pinot Gris for this.
Oh yes, drink of the
Nice.
week. We are announcing drinks
This
of the
is
week.
my big event. Like, I go nowhere. I do nothing. So, yes.
And this is before
I
COVID.
got dressed up. I'm in it. This is, you need to see. It's not like pajama pants. This is a dress.
Oh my.
Like,
Nice.
Oh my. She's twirling.
I'm
Oh
actually-
yeah.
wearing a dress.
She's wearing a
We're
lovely
so honored.
neon pink dress
Yes.
and
Fuchsia.
lovely necklace and lipstick.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Nice.
went to work all day in no makeup, and then I came home and put on makeup to sit in front of my computer.
Oh my God.
That's exactly what I did, actually. I did not wear makeup today. And then I got home, took a shower. Well, I'm still not. I'm just wearing like foundation in my eyebrows and some lip color. I was going to do full makeup. And then I'm like, I'm going to take a nap instead.
Yeah. What about you,
Oh.
Joe? Makeup?
I was planning on eating
about your
fried
makeup?
chicken on the show. I'm always
That's
rushing.
okay.
I'm always
Eat
rushing
your
before
fried-
we start.
Eat your fried chai. And
No, we're not doing mukbang. Not doing that. I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to smell my
I just
lovely
like the label
fried
on my
chicken.
wine.
What is that?
It's just cute. It's a skinny dog.
Long little
I-
dog.
I
Then
read that
the-
as
I know.
long little dong, and that's not what it is.
We're already at this stage of the show.
I haven't even had a single sip yet. I'm just like, people are talking to me.
Oh, we're going to do this. In fact, this week,
Here.
hey, Emma, let's just not do anything controversial this week. Last week, we were talking about GS25.
We got a little, yeah, but
Ah,
yeah.
we were talking about Magalia feminism and people seeing people making small peepees out of their fingers everywhere. And
Oh, yes.
yeah, that was too heavy. I didn't want to go into that.
That was a bit of a heavy topic last
I don't want to
Yeah.
go into that anymore. That was because most
Balance.
of the time
We
I
gotta
don't know
balance
what
it
I'm
out.
talking. I don't know what I'm talking about.
But thankfully, Rob came on and he had some great insight.
Yeah. But anyway,
I think the rest of us were just like, we don't understand what's going on.
Why everyone angry about the pepper? I don't understand.
the pepper,
don't-
the sausage. It was the tiny sausage.
Yeah.
A little, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
And
I
how
could
this
get
is
into
apparently a
the-
feminist sign.
I could get into like the hypocrisy and the misogyny of it all, but I'm not going to.
And we got comments. I haven't even read the comments, but I could tell that we were like, "You don't understand. Feminism's bad in Korea. Feminism is destroying Korea." And I'm like, "Okay, all right, sure." You know what? You know how to show male privilege is 2 days ago. I'm leaving the train at Gondok Station. Old man comes out in a suit, promptly unzips his pants and pees on the fire extinguisher. That's male privilege right there. Because a
And
woman
nothing
can't do
happened to him.
I don't think so. I mean, he
Yeah.
got some looks, but you know,
Yeah.
He didn't get arrested or anything.
I didn't stick around to see. I just made sure I didn't step into the stream or the puddle.
Yeah, we don't have that benefit as women being able to do that. I had
Women. Only once
It
have
might
I
be
seen a
too
woman
soon.
peeing in public. Oh, yeah,
it might
only
be too
once I've
soon
seen
in the
that.
hour to get into my pee story, but
I know. Well,
Everybody's got a pee story.
okay,
I
so
have one from 5 days ago.
okay, would you mind telling us the story?
Hold on.
Okay, I hear it involves
Okay.
travel.
All right, so I have to choose my words carefully. Okay, so I am on a new Korean TV show, a drama,
Ooh.
and I think I can say what it is. It's called Dali and Gamjatang. You don't know
Dali
it?
and Gamjatang?
Gamjatang. You don't know
Dongjatang?
it? It's not out yet. But it's starring Kim Min Jae and Park Gyu Young. I don't know. Anyway, we were.
I do that
They're
too.
lovely. Apparently, they're famous. But
Do you do this thing I do? I'm interrupting your story already. Okay, if I'm being pulled on a Korean
You got
TV
to do
show
less of
with
it.
famous people, what I do is I take selfies with them, and then later on I ask people, okay, who is that?
So I wanted to do that, but on set everything was very rushed. And I was at a read through with them 2 months ago at KBS, but it was like 75 people in the room and the president of KBS and and I was the only foreigner there.
Oh God.
And it was a really big, there was press there.
Uh-huh.
And so I couldn't be like, hi, got a selfie, Giselle. Like I couldn't.
Yeah, you couldn't do that.
And then when we were on set, it was all very rushed. I don't know how much you know about how the dramas are shot, but it's amazing what they can accomplish so quickly.
It's the opposite of how Arirang is shot.
Yeah. Yes, I'm trying to focus on the positive. Amazing what they can do so quickly.
Yeah.
So Monday we flew to Jeju, me and the team and about 30 or 40 extras.
Wow, Jeju.
And,
I hear Hawaii is the Jeju of America.
It is. And we took the first flight of the day. So I was up at 3 a.m. I left my house at 4 a.m. Yeah, it was insane. But the timeline is important to the story. So we arrived at Jeju and immediately get onto set, and they're using all the extras for the morning. And I'm told to just sit tight. They'll get to me eventually. So we're in one location for 2 hours, and then we moved to another location that was outside of the Swiss village, and we're outside there's just like a field. There's nothing else. They park the bus and they take all of the extras to go off and shoot something with them. And I'm told, okay, just stay on the bus. We'll be back for you. Just stay on the bus. Now it was Jeju. It was hot. It was like,
Yogi, 기다리세요. 기다리세요.
yeah. Just stay. So it was like 90 degrees. Oh, let me, Celsius, 30 degrees. It was hot.
Yeah.
And I was left on the bus for close to 3 hours. And
Oh my.
with and that's just a testament to how sort of thrown together and crazy these things are. Being positive. But there was
Dude, you're still experiencing something a lot of people would love to experience. Yeah.
exactly.
As much as I complain about stuff I've done, I'm so happy I did it. Yeah.
Yeah. Anytime I was like starting to get pissy about it, pissy pun intended.
Oh.
I would be. I would tell
Foreshadowing.
myself, yeah, I would right. I would tell myself like, Barry, shut up. Like you've been flown to Jeju to be on a Korean television show when, LA and New York are still closed down, and like just be grateful. And I was coping pretty well until like nature called and I really had to pee. And I considered peeing in this beautiful field. The only thing is I took a picture of the field and I put it in my Instagram stories and made a poll and made people vote if I should pee or not.
How many people voted no?
Like one person. It was like overwhelming. Like 100 people were like, yeah, pee in that field, girl. So the thing is, though, you could only see from that vantage point. What I didn't reveal to everyone was that, like, behind me were like the 6 Ajashi bus drivers.
Oh.
So I couldn't, and also it was like a field off of a road, kind of a main road. So what's going through my head in this moment is not just, oh, these Ajashis are going to see me drop my pants and pee and laugh. Like, I really don't care what a handful of random Ajashis think about me. But I actually thought, oh no, what if like someone drives by and takes a picture of me peeing in the field, and then it's like paparazzi, like foreigner on this TV show, and this is her butt, and she's peeing in a field.
It's environmentally friendly.
Yeah. So this is what I did. I went onto the bus. So I didn't pee in the field, but my pee ended up in the field.
Oh.
See where this is going. I went onto the bus and I made sure like the curtains were drawn, and I went to the back and I got my my blender bottle where my protein drink had been in the morning, so I had to pee.
Not the reusable one, I assume.
So this is this is my blender bottle that I bring to the gym every morning.
Oh.
With
I
like
assumed
the
wrong.
Yeah, with like the metal blender ball inside of it,
Oh.
you know, and it still had like residue protein in
Desperate
it.
time.
He was so desperate, and I just was like, I gotta go. So yeah, I just dropped trow in like the middle of the bus and just prayed like nobody come on this bus right now.
Yeah, and once it starts, there's no going back.
There's no going back, and I had to pee so much that, you guys, it overflowed.
Oh no!
It overflowed, and it got on like my pants, and then I was like, "Oh, that's in my shoe." Like,
Oh no.
and I just had to laugh. I was just like, "This is my glamorous acting life."
Oh my god!
Being on a bus and then getting it in your shoe.
I carefully like put the top back on, and then I got off the bus and I went to the field and was like, poured it out, and then I went back on the bus and I peed into it some more.
Oh well, you're able to stop like in second gear. Wow.
Well, once it started overflowing, it's just my system was like, "Oh, emergency!"
Oh my god.
Anyway,
Oh my God. That was a lot.
I'm
You really had to
surprised
go.
you were able to even stop.
I know.
I know, and well, and I did go back on the bus and clean it up, and then told nobody.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
And now I'm telling like a podcast. I don't know.
Now
you-
everybody knows.
You told our
What's
2
your
listeners.
viewership? Do people, is anyone watching this?
Let me see if anyone's watching. We are going live on our Facebook page today. I can't tell if anyone's watching on our Facebook page. Yeah. Nope. It doesn't tell us. Oh, well, one's watching, and
person.
that's me,
But
I'm
that
sure. Oh, 2 are watching.
Oh, I was like, one.
Oh.
Oh, that's us. I think it's
Oh,
me and you. So
Yeah.
One day.
At least it's not somebody whose handle is like Peace Stalker. I'd have to worry. But yes, that is my thing. And you know what? And that is male privilege.
your piece.
That
bringing
is
it
true.
full circle.
Because I bet you, how about those Ajashis? You know?
I bet they were watering that field all afternoon.
Yeah.
They probably were.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Hey, when you gotta go, you gotta go. So
Yeah.
and that's what I told myself. I was just like, you know what? Like, don't torture yourself. This is nature. And, you know, I think the older you get, the fewer fucks you give. It's
Yeah.
just like,
You just opened the door into your new self.
Yeah.
Your new reality.
it's like
Your new
Breaking
self.
Bad, but I'm Breaking Barry.
Breaking Barry.
Yeah.
Here we go. This is like when she's when you're that the aging actress, and she doesn't, like the Betty Davis, I'm thinking of a Betty Davis type, and you're like, I don't give a shit. And it's like, this was the beginning of that. This is your origin story.
My origin story. Yes. So, yeah, glamorous life.
Mm-hmm. All right, got Prince.
It makes you want to be an actress or an actor.
Speaking of which,
I want to sign up so I too can pee in bottles.
So you're originally from New York? I've heard of that place.
From New York. Oh, you've heard of it? Cool.
Yeah. I think I've been there a couple of times. Yeah.
Yeah, born in New York City, born in Queens.
I love Queens.
Yeah, Queens is cool. Queens is cool.
I like Queens.
And grew up on Long Island.
Mm-hmm.
In the town that Joey Buttafuoco and Amy Fisher made famous.
Oh my!
I'm really dating myself now.
Yeah, because no one remembers them anymore.
And the fact that both Joe and I were like, oh, yeah, we're right there with you.
But it's
cool.
Yeah.
When all of that was going down, so I was in junior high, and my junior high bus it was like the tour of Buttafuoco. The bus would pass the house, like the whorehouse where it all happened, and there'd be reporters outside, and we would all stick our heads out the window and be like, yeah. And then we would pass Joey's auto body shop, and we would be like, Joey, and he would come out, and he'd be like, ooh.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's
the story right there. Now, see, to me, that makes you famous. Yeah. Is you got flipped off by Joey Buttafuoco.
Yeah.
Wow.
He would flip us off, and we would be like,
that's amazing.
I have no stories that can even compare.
Wow. Yeah. No, I don't. I can't.
That even beats my Psy story.
Not even at that. Especially when I was that age. Yeah, I think I was Amy Fisher's age.
I have one other really good one from my town. If we have a moment, so
I would love that.
Dee Schneider from Twisted Sister is from my town. And every year we would have like the Christmas holiday concert. And when I was in high school, he actually came back a couple times for the holiday concert. Yeah. And we would do the 12 Days of Christmas. And he would be the turtle, he would be the partridge in a pear tree.
Oh, partridge in a pear tree.
He'd be like, and a partridge in a pear tree.
Oh, that's awesome.
Anyway, that's all I got.
That's great. Ah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, your upbringing was infinitely cooler than mine.
Yeah. Ours.
Again, Emma.
Oklahoma. So like we had Twister. We had Twister.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
The movie Twister was not filmed in my town, but it was filmed in a town in Oklahoma near where I live, I think. Wait, was Twister even actually filmed in Oklahoma? I know it was set there, but I'm not exactly sure if it was actually filmed there. I think parts of it were. Actually, yes, it was. I remember because for years after that, people were complaining because they ripped up a whole bunch of these roads when they were filming the movie, and then they never fixed them.
Oh.
And just kind of left it. But really, I mean, honestly, I'm not sure how people could even tell because it's Oklahoma and our roads are already always busted anyway.
Yeah.
And nobody fixes them. So
I also heard that Helen Hunt peed into a field. So.
But, yeah, we have Twister.
It's Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton. And I only remember that because I just read some story about that movie this week. And then I remember that. The late, great Bill Paxton.
I remember watching it and being like, I know all those towns, every single town. I'm like, I know where that is. I know where that is. I know where that is. And people are like, are these even real towns? And I'm like, yes. Wichita is a real town in Oklahoma.
Wow. You felt at home. Yeah,
Wichita,
we have
not to be confused with Wichita.
That's
Is it
Kansas.
Wichita? I can't see. I don't even know.
Isn't
We
that-
don't even know how to pronounce our own towns. It's I can't remember if it's Wichita or Wachita. It might be Wachita. Wichita.
Wichita?
I'm gonna have to watch that. There's like a BuzzFeed video about people trying to pronounce town names from Oklahoma, and even I got like a good chunk of them wrong. And I'm like, what? I've been lied to my entire life. This is not how you say that town name. At least I got Miami right, so I'll take that one. I
Oh
got
my
Miami.
gosh.
Everybody was like Miami, and I'm like, nope, it's
You're like,
Miami.
I got this one.
The biggest they have like the biggest McDonald's that goes over a highway. It's like situated over the turnpike, and that's like because we always pass through there when we would go drive up to visit my family in Springfield.
That's amazing.
So
Could you travel from one side of the highway to the other via McDonald's? Or it was just the
Yes.
arches?
no, it was like the actual restaurant was situated in this building that went over the turnpike.
Well,
So
now
if you
I
were
have to go
coming
there
in
and
one
get, like,
direction, it was because we would always make a pit stop there when we were driving up to Missouri to visit my grandparents. So
That's amazing. I would
And
do
I
that
just
every
remember that. It's
time.
like-
Oh,
that sounds fantastic.
yeah.
My husband's
Great
from
memories.
Missouri, so maybe
Missouri.
Missouri. If I ever get
Missouri.
to go back, we will.
I was about to say, wait a minute, it's Missouri.
From
Missouri.
Wait, where?
Where in Missouri?
He's from a town called Dexter, which is about 3.5 hours south of St. Louis. It's in what he tells me is it's in the boot heel.
The booty. Oh, okay. I think. I know
Oh,
what
is
that
it in the
means.
Ozark? Is it Ozark?
It's not Ozarky.
It's
further
more
north.
Emma's territory than mine. Okay.
Yeah.
My mom's family is from. They're actually from Ozark County in Missouri. Small
Wow.
town in the mountains called Gainesville.
That's like very Jason Bateman-y.
So do they watch Ozark?
I don't know. I still haven't seen it. Everybody keeps telling me I need to watch it, and I keep saying like, okay, I'm going to, and then I forget. But
I've only watched a few
from like
episodes.
the clips that I've seen, it looks very much like the area where my grandparents are from.
Yeah.
So,
I'm
and it
currently-
sounds exactly like they do.
Yeah, I watch it. I love it. After one season, Daniel stopped watching it with me because he was just like, all of these people, nobody's redeeming in any way. I
Yeah.
can't watch this
Yeah.
anymore.
Well, for me, it felt like Breaking Bad with all the violence I was scared Breaking Bad would have. 'Cause I don't.
Yeah.
I'm averse. I don't like violence. I'm just weird that way. I don't like. I get cringy because I've been told I'm very empathetic. So when someone's having pain on camera on the screen, I connect with that person, and then I can't do that. I can't watch violence.
I hear that. I mean, what kept me going, honestly, were the performances.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Laura Linney, Jesus. God, that
I
woman.
love Jason Bateman. I love Jason Bateman since Silver Spoons.
Nice. You're dating yourself now.
Yeah. Jason Bateman was my favorite character in that show. Back before his voice dropped. I mean, it was
I couldn't even name anybody else from Silver Spoons. There
Ricky
was
Schroeder,
Ricky Schroeder. Yeah. Okay.
I think Joel Higgins, the woman who played Wilma and Buck Rogers. Oh, what's her name? She was like,
I have all of this information very accessible.
yeah. Well, that was just one
Are
of my
you
little.
binging Silver Spoon?
No, it's one of my little because
What you can't
they
see is
had
like-
the best house a kid would want. They had a train set you could ride through the house. They had a full arcade.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, that was the best house, and they had a remote controlled door, which is the most useless invention.
But it's still really cool.
Yeah. I loved it because every time Mr. Struthers, every time someone rang the doorbell, he'd go and he'd grab the remote and he'd walk towards the door. Right before he hits the door, he hits the remote. I'm like, that saved you how much time?
Right. The remote had like 3 feet worth of distance.
Yeah, true. It's an 80s remote. I mean, he'd have to change the batteries every 2 days. I want to hear about this. You were on that Nickelodeon show. Don't Just Sit There.
Oh my God. What a random thing for you to ask me about.
Yeah, well, I fanboy. I'm a serious fanboy, so I love doing that. You have to deal with me doing that.
Nickelodeon presents Don't Just Sit There, the show that always turns the bass up on your parents' stereo.
That's her. That's her. That's her voice that does that.
When I was like maybe 11 years old, were we in the 6th grade? I think my 6th grade class, somebody's parent was a producer, a TV producer. Anyway, somehow they were able to bring my entire 6th grade class to a taping of Nickelodeon's Don't Just Sit There. And something that they did would be they would ask the teachers that brought all the kids in the audience, they would say, okay, who are the best readers in your class? And so they would nominate, and there'd be like 10 kids. So maybe there was like 300 or 400 kids there from different schools. And each school would get to nominate a few kids. And I was one of them. And then we were brought backstage with the producers to audition to be the announcer for that day's show. Anyway, you see where this is going. I was picked.
But not only were you picked, they used your voice over and over for every show.
Yeah, so I guess I did a great job. And they kept it as the opening, the intro. So even when there were other studio audiences, they would still use that intro, which was like me and my 10 pounds of hair.
Oh my.
And like my unibrow. Just being like my 11-year-old self. And I used to I thought I was pretty cool.
I'm going to check that. I'm going to track that down, and I'm going to
Long Island in 1990 or 1991. I would be stopped in Baskin Robbins or ballet class. People be like, "Oh my God, were you on Don't Just Sit There?" And I'd be like,
yes.
"Yeah, that was me."
Oh my God, that's great.
Oh my God.
And it was around the same time that my mother was on Regis and Kathy.
Yeah.
She was in the audience with her
Back
friend.
when it was Kathy.
Yes. Regis and Kathy before it was, yeah.
Before it was Kelly. Kathy Lee Gifford and
Kathy
Kelly
Lee
Rippert.
Gifford. Regis and Kathy Lee Gifford. And my mom was with her friends in the studio audience, and they had to take some questionnaire about their marriages. And my mom wrote ridiculous things about her marriage and my dad. And they were like, "We want this crazy lady on the segment with the relationship expert," or whatever. So yeah.
Oh no.
So that same year, I was on Don't Just Sit There, and my mom was on Regis and Kathy Lee, and people were like, "Those Tsavarises, oh my God."
Oh my God, that's amazing. Well, that's our loose connection to each other outside of Korea. Is my family won a cruise from Regis and Kelly.
What?
And they were on the cruise ship with Regis and Kelly. Yes.
Wow. That's awesome. So Regis and Kelly would
cool.
have dinner on the cruise every night with the guests.
They did the cruise, yeah, and they did the show, and they had the cast from Queer Eye, and they had Ted, what's his name, the Jump the Shark guy. Oh gosh, what's his name? He was on.
All I can think is Ted Danson.
No, Ted. He was on Revenge of the Nerds. He was.
Yeah, I know. That's where my mind went. I'm like, Ted.
Revenge of the Nerds. He was on Married with Children. He was on.
Yeah, the kid, the son from.
No. He's like the guy. They always, whenever they add him to a sitcom, he's one of the signs that they've jumped the shark. When they add him as an actor, he's usually added late into the show. Oh my, Ted Gillett. What's his name? He was a nice guy. They just said he was a nice guy.
Yeah, they were this cruise has jumped the shark.
They're all stuck on the cruise ship together. So yeah, they're mingling with each other at the buffet, stuff like that.
That is crazy. It's so fascinating what celebrities do to, I guess it's combination marketing and extra income. It's really interesting to me. There's a website right now called Cameo where celebrities will do you can pay, they price themselves how they want, and you can pay for a personalized birthday greeting or message for your mom or your friend or whatever.
I saw those ads on Facebook. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was perusing it the other day
Yeah,
to see who was on there.
yeah, it's like something Carl Weathers would have done in Arrested Development.
Yeah. The best person that was on there, I'm going to date myself again, but the saxophone player from the Lost Boys.
Oh, really?
So random. But for like $50, you can have him like play his saxophone and say
That
hi
would
to
be
your
great.
friend.
I would do that. I mean, fun. I would just get a bunch of money and just
Well,
get
we
a
know what
bunch
to
of
get
them.
Joe for his birthday.
Yeah.
Well, I'll update you in July because that's when Daniel's birthday is, and I think I'm going to get him that.
Do that. Do that.
And
I mean, it's fun. I like that idea. There's
then you
one
have to
thing.
like film his reaction when he watches.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's one thing I've been wanting to go on when I get rich enough, but I'm going to be too old. There's an annual 80s cruise. And it's all the old MTV VJs. It's all these bands from the 80s all
Oh
together.
my God.
All different types of styles and actors from the 80s. They all come together. And every year they keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And they get bigger acts every year.
You've basically just described my dream vacation.
Yeah, it's fun. It's just going to be a bunch of overweight Gen Xers.
Let's all go together.
But it's-
Please. COVID is finally over. Where are you going? I'm going on the 80s cruise.
the 80s cruise. One day I really want to go on that. It's every year, just the acts,
That sounds really cool.
and it's like the acts that most people think is not the big one is the one I'm most excited about. It's like, oh yeah, I want to see Berlin.
Yes.
Cool in the Gang, yes, yeah.
Yes. When Kool and the Gang was playing a few years back in the Philippines, I considered flying to the Philippines for the show.
I would do that. I would do that. Yeah,
I thought about it.
yeah.
You should have.
Yeah, I don't know what stopped me. Now that like we live in, everything with COVID, I feel like I won't be so precious in the future.
True.
Should an opportunity with Kool and the Gang arise again?
True.
Didn't you fly somewhere to see you too?
Oh yes, I fly to many places to see you too.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah.
I remember,
I saw
'cause
them when they
you-
came here, and they
you
were
saw them
great.
when they were here, and then you flew somewhere else after that to see them. Yeah, I'm like, wow.
I flew
Dedicated.
to Singapore, and that is the steamiest concert I have ever been to.
Mm-hmm.
It smelled delicious in that arena. And then I flew back to Seoul for like 30 hours, and I did like a couple voice jobs. I had to like pop in to do the promos for TBS EFM. And then I flew to Japan to see them there.
Wow.
Mm.
But even in America, I used to fly to see. I've flown to Dublin to see them. I've gone to.
Oh, that's
Amsterdam.
amazing.
Yeah, I'm just again. The theme of this night is dating myself.
No, it's that, but you've also had an amazing life. I didn't get to go see big bands. They didn't come to where I grew up, and my parents would never pay for that because I was 4 kids. Why would anyone pay for a concert?
Yeah,
So I never got to see anyone big until I saw you too. I mean, I saw acts that were big to me that no one's ever heard of because I'm like Mike Oldfield. No one knows who Mike Oldfield is, but that's one of the best shows I've ever seen. Have you ever seen The Exorcist?
yeah, of course.
It's the music from The Exorcist. He wrote the music from The Exorcist.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
he
I
had a
was
concert
so
in Germany, and I
fortunate.
saw it.
That's awesome.
I
I didn't even know. Like when I was a teenager, growing up on Long Island, I grew up 10 minutes from Jones Beach. A half hour from Madison Square Garden, and we went to see everybody.
You had everyone.
REM,
That's
Dave
amazing.
Matthews Band, like everyone in the 90s.
That's amazing.
And I just thought that everyone had that kind of life. And it
No.
wasn't until I went away to college that I was like, oh, where I grew up, so close to the city and the beach, and also being the luxury of the suburbs, I was like, wow, I had it good. And I'm so
That's good.
grateful.
That's good. I'm trying to get my daughter that experience now. In Seoul, as much as a Korean kid's experience can be. I want to, as soon as things start opening up, I want to get her tickets to Gag concert.
Yeah.
Do things that go see her favorite shows. So our office is at Digital Media City, And that's where all the TV stations are based. And they're trying to turn it into a little Hollywood, Broadway, not Broadway. That's Hiba. But anyway, I showed her the street where they have people's handprints, and I was not expecting her to go that crazy over it. She was examining almost every single one. She knew almost every single one of them.
Oh wow!
They had these little tourist experiences which were closed because of COVID, but she wanted to go see them sometime. And she's like, "Daddy, I like where you work. I want to go back there."
That's awesome. How old is she now? She's like 11 or 12?
She's 10, real age.
Okay.
She's 12, Korean age.
Okay,
I guess.
10.
But nobody cares about Korean age.
10 reasonable age.
Yeah, 10 real age. I just like call it. It's real age.
No offense.
She's
to
fifth
the
grade.
listener.
She's in fifth grade. There we go. That's how we know. Because
Okay,
Koreans don't go like, oh, she's in fifth grade, but she's really in seventh grade.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
No, not really. I'm going to give that experience to myself when I move to Austin, because I can.
Yeah, you do that.
Everybody plays in Austin. So I'm just going to have my little concert heart out. Go to South by Southwest finally.
I heard they're moving to Austin.
Yeah.
I work out every morning with Nell, who runs White Lies Burlesque. Plug.
Uh-huh.
And she was
That's my
mentioning
group. That's my group.
Yes. She was mentioning you're moving to Austin. That sounds awesome.
Yeah. I'm excited. I'm going to finally go to see South by Southwest. Ugh, I've been dreaming of this moment for like a long time.
I would love. Yeah, I've never even been to Texas. Mm. One day.
No,
It's
you're
fine.
not
I like
missing
Texas.
much.
I like Texas.
I'm missing Austin.
I mean, yeah, Austin. And yeah, I mean, missing Austin's pretty cool. It's probably the only place in Texas that I'm like that I feel like is worth going to. Dallas is too expensive.
Oh, as far as living.
San Antonio's nice too. I like San Antonio.
How about
visiting? I can visit San Antonio. I don't
Yeah,
think
San
I will
Antonio's
there.
gorgeous. And then there's Planet Houston.
The Riverwalk.
Yeah, the Riverwalk in San Antonio. Yeah. Yeah. And then there's the rest of Texas, which is flat
Yeah.
and
Oh,
long.
But like,
Leeds.
one day I would love to see more of America. Like
Me too.
Like I know you're talking about Alabama where you're from earlier and like sort of, downplaying a little bit, but like, no, you're shaking your head. And yes, there's the stereotypes and, whatever, but like, I want to see the country that I'm from. I want to
Yeah.
see all of it.
I've never stepped foot in California outside of an airport.
Mm,
I've never really done
Yeah,
the East
I mean,
Coast. I mean,
I've
West
only
Coast.
been to like San Francisco and LA. Like that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. I've only been to those airports.
I wouldn't mind driving Route 66.
Yeah, that's what I want to do.
I did the drive. So when I turned 30, a long time ago, I had recently gone
a couple
through
of years ago.
right, over a decade ago. I had recently gone through a divorce and, turning 30, like,
Oh my God, our
now
lives
that-
parallel each other.
yeah. And I had also, this was just before I came to Korea. I came to Korea right at my 31st birthday. So I went through a divorce, and then the housing crisis happened in America and in New York, and I lost my day job, which, now in hindsight, it's a blessing in disguise. But at the time, it was like, I lost everything.
Yeah.
And I had planned, before I lost my job, I had planned this trip for my 30th birthday to fly to LA with my friends, spend a long weekend, and then I was going to drive to San Francisco by myself. And it was a really big deal because I'd been with my ex since I was 18, and I had never really done anything alone. And I was like, I'm doing this. I'm renting a car and I'm driving by myself. And then I was laid off from my job. And I was like, oh, it's so irresponsible to go when I don't have a job and I have no money.
You did
And
that, though. You did
I
that.
did. I remember my stepmother telling me, like, the flight is booked, the trip is paid for, go. You'll figure out the rest later. And I did. And I'm so glad I did.
Very wise person.
Yeah, she is. She used
Yeah.
to be a nightmare, but now We get along.
Isn't that funny how that turns out with step parents?
Yeah,
Some of them.
She's really high strung, and so am I. She needed to calm down, and I needed to grow up. And
Yeah.
luckily, both things happened.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, but that drive, it's breathtaking and inspiring and terrifying. I had moments where there's almost nothing between you and the cliffside.
Yeah, I couldn't do that.
And I had to pull over and stop the car, and
Oh goodness.
I couldn't even get out on like the driver's side because it was too close. Like I was terrified, and I got out on I crawled over and got out on the other side of the car and just like had to stop and be like, but people were driving by from the other direction, and I think people know that frequent those roads. They know that it's a scary trip, and people were like, "You can do it! Keep going! You're not gonna plummet to your death." And I was like, "Okay." Yeah, for me, it was like this big symbolic adventure that I was like, if I can just do this and get to San Francisco, then I can do anything. And I think it was, maybe 9 months later that I moved to Korea.
I was going to say 9 months later, I got to San Francisco.
With a baby.
It only took me 9 months.
That man on the side of the road. No.
Oh man! So came to Korea. It's funny. It's similar to me divorce.
Yeah.
So the housing crisis for me was the .com bust.
Yes.
And came to Korea. Well, I mean, I actually had a background in Korean studies, so it was like all the stars are pointing this way. Come here. I'll come here for a year, and then I'll go back to my promising career as a flash designer.
That's exactly what I told myself. I was like, I'm going to go there and I'm going to live in a traditional fishing village wearing traditional garb. I didn't know anything about Korea.
Oh, really?
I knew nothing. I was like, I'll probably be wearing, I was telling friends, oh yeah, I'll probably be wearing hanbok every day.
Oh my gosh.
I had no clue.
We have some friends that do that though. But yeah.
Oh yeah, no comment. And I was like, I'm just going to go and I'm going to write the next Eat, Pray, Love. And then I'm going to go back to New York City and put it on stage. And that was 11 years ago.
Thank goodness you grew out of that, because there are people who do that and they're the most annoying white people. Mm-hmm. I love that. There's this one person, she was always a judge on Iron Chef. And the reason she was on Iron Chef was, she lived a year in Kyoto and learned tea ceremonies after learning and she's like, oh, now I've been changed by my Japanese experience from 1 year.
And meanwhile, we know that she was teaching ESL and living in a 1-room apartment.
Yeah. Yeah. Something like that.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No.
Nothing wrong with it at all. No.
If you're doing it for a couple of years.
I mean, the issue is if you're trying to make your experience out into some lofty thing that it wasn't,
Yeah, that's what it was. It's like, okay, you did that. Oh, you got a book deal for just being in Asia for a year.
Really?
Anyway, that's what I was after 12 years ago.
Yeah, it's like, huh.
Where's my book deal?
Yeah, I know. You're the
I've been
writer.
here for 13. Where's my book deal? Well, I don't really have anything. I don't really want to write about Korea.
So you know why? Okay, sorry, Barry, hold your ears. You know why she got the book deal? She moved back to New York. You can't get a book deal.
So when I go back to Austin, I'll get the book deal.
No, you got to move to New York to get the book deal. You can't do it in Austin. You have to be in New York.
Too expensive. Sorry.
Yes. I got too many friends. It's like you know nothing about Korean food. How come you got a book deal about writing Korean food? I'm 2 floors away from the publisher. I can just talk to them. It's like, oh.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. I've made peace with that, but yeah. That's how that happens. Vagina Monologues.
Oh,
that's not a non sequitur. That's actually a segue.
That was a great.
I'm not Elon Musk. I'm not have Tourette's.
Are you having a stroke? Are you all right? Blink
Do I
twice.
need to call for help?
It's the way my brain works. It's like one of my shrinks said, like, I have a brain like a popcorn popper. It just pops on my head, and I go, yeah.
Like, right, vagina monologues. So,
Vagina
Vaginas. I have a long history with that.
Do you see why we do this show? This is why we do this every Friday. This is our fun time.
I'm kind of like, I'm having so much fun, and I'm kind of like, why was I nervous about this? No offense.
Is anyone watching us? I haven't checked our Facebook. By the way, we are live on Facebook this week. If you could join our Facebook page at facebook.com/SeoulPodcast.
I should have done a post like I'm going to be live on this thing, but I was nervous and I didn't know how it would go. So I didn't post anything, but
I feel you. I think I did
right
the
now.
first few times I hosted.
But like, I'm so technically inept that I would just write a post like, I'm live on Facebook right now. I don't know where it is. Good luck. Find it.
No, don't worry. I posted it on my wall too. It just over time.
I've got it on my wall.
Over time, our audience is actually growing.
Okay,
and
tag
it's
me.
going fine. Yeah. Oh, tag you? Okay.
You can tag me, and then I can approve it. And this is a riveting conversation.
I got it.
Oh, I didn't even hit post.
Oh my god!
All right, let me tag.
You haven't even shared it.
No, I've shared it, but I was sharing.
I'm the only responsible person on this podcast. I've shared it.
Okay.
Am I on a podcast right now?
Oh my gosh. Hold on. Let me get this done. Okay.
Welcome to our world. You're tagged now, Barry.
Someone pointed this out to me. I just found this out. You know, A Whole New World from the musical Aladdin.
Yes, I can show you.
Yes.
You ever sing it when they're doing the duet part? It's like Jasmine singing A Whole New World. Don't you dare close your eyes. Yeah.
Hold your breath. It gets better.
Yeah. Aladdin never lets the woman finish a sentence.
That dick.
Yeah,
Do you know,
I performed this. I performed this on stage, and this just now hit me. But it was in a drag show, and I was dressed up as Aladdin singing Jasmine's part, and then my friend Heezy was dressed up as Jasmine singing Aladdin's part. So it was kind of like a fun little twist.
Oh, that's fun.
Oh, that's awesome. Aladdin was like one of my very first, very real, like intense, like sexual crushes, like the cartoon character.
Oh, really? Belle did it for me, man. Beauty and the Beast.
Prince Eric.
Prince Eric. Oh, okay. I like him a little. Sporty.
Okay. Rank your Disney crushes.
Disney crushes.
Yeah.
Gosh, I have to think.
I don't know if I can rank them.
I mean, probably number one.
Or list your top
Aladdin.
5. Okay.
But like now that
Aladdin definitely.
Now that I'm a grown woman who has come into my sexual identity and everything. So anyway, I'm bisexual. So I feel like as an adult, I need to.
That's why I said crushes.
Address the crushes. Like
Okay.
Jasmine is like, I don't know. Jasmine might beat out Aladdin at this point.
Jasmine's up there for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Belle,
Ariel, the
Jasmine,
redheads are crazy.
From Mulan.
Tiana. I really like Tiana.
Mm.
On top of that, she can cook. Yeah, hold on. Who else do I like? Yeah.
I would not have kicked Gaston out of bed. I mean,
Gaston?
he's a jerk, but like I feel like he would have been a good time.
Yeah, that's true. If you say this is fun. This is what we do all the time.
So much fun. This is way more fun than I was prepared for. I was not prepared for this level of amusement.
Yeah. Say that to our listeners.
I admittedly do not do proper homework, so I didn't really listen to many previous.
It's all right.
And the one or two podcasts that you did, episodes that I did listen to were kind of serious.
Yeah.
So I was even messaging like my friend. We have a girl chat, and I was messaging them today, being like, "I'm gonna have to talk about this. Like, tell me some intelligent things."
No, you know what? We did that last week, and we had a lot of guests drop out of that show. We tried to do our roundtable shows, and you know what? I mean, I've been doing this show on and off since 2008, and we're still finding our way. We're still trying to figure out what we are. I think we're more fun when we're just friends hanging out, having drinks.
Yeah, I like it. It's actually very inspiring because I've been thinking about doing something like this myself.
Oh, do it. Yeah.
And I get very precious about things. Like I don't want to do things unless they're perfect. And I think I just need to throw that out the window.
Did we even talk about Vagina Monologues, or did we just?
No, you shouted it out, and then we never got to talking about it.
All right, if you don't have to talk about it, if you don't want to, it's fine.
No, I mean, I can get into it briefly.
Sure.
The show's been around since, I don't know, it's been 25 years, I guess. The show's been around.
Mm-hmm.
And I was way back in the olden days when I was in college. I was one of the very first student directors at a university of the show. And I was a part of an HBO special with Eve Ensler, and it was kind of a big deal at the time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Oh, you might know me from Don't Just Sit There.
I love you do your Cher impression when you're doing that.
And I guess I've just sort of carried the show with me in other, the rest of my life. I was a part of productions in New York City. So that was in Boston when I directed it for the first time. And then I was involved in productions in New York City after I graduated, and then productions here in Korea. When I first got involved with theater in Seoul in 2011, the end of 2011, there was a woman who was like, I miss the Vagina Monologues. I just want to produce it. So she did, and she put it all together.
I remember that.
Jeannie, and we did it at Roofers.
Roofers, we did our only live audience show at Roofers.
Wow,
SeoulPodcast.
I missed that place.
Yeah, that was a fun place. That was a long climb up those stairs. But
Indeed.
it was a fun place.
When you have, women screaming about vaginas at the end of the staircase, it's motivation to get up there.
Get up there.
Well, I mean, considering the location of Roofers, there were lots of women shouting other things out the other doors too.
Yeah. But so we did it first, in a bar, and one of the things that I'm proudest of my work with theater in Korea is that I saw these amazing talents and these amazing productions happening in bars, and they were fun, but I had a mission to get theater into legitimate theater spaces. That was my mission when I was working with Soul Players, and I did. And we produced the Soul Players. With Soul Players, we produced Vagina Monologues several times. I can't even remember how many times we produced it. But we would donate all of the proceeds to KUNGFA, the Korean Unwed Mothers and Families Association. So it was, not just doing this show that's eye-opening and bringing it to Korea, but we're also, helping women here. And that was really important to me. So
that's great.
Sorry, I made the podcast get serious for.
No, that was great.
Because I was part of Vagina Monologues, I want to say in 2017, actually. I think that might have been the last time somebody's done it here.
I haven't produced it in at least 4 years. As amazing as it is, the script is the same, and so it just you get a little bit of burnout from it. And
Yeah.
also the issues change.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Right.
after Me Too, I mean, how does it sound these days, do you think?
I still think that the Vagina Monologues is relevant.
Oh, relevant, but how does it sound? I don't know. I mean,
Um,
I'm not
I mean,
completing
for
thoughts here.
me, I think it's not as much the Me Too movement that would affect it, but I think it's more the trans community that would affect the Vagina Monologues, and where do trans women fit into
Ah,
this? Because they actually, there's not really much of a place for them in the original script. So I think that's what stops me from going back to produce it right now, is that, I think it needs to be updated for our current times. A lot has changed in 20 years. A lot.
yeah.
Yes.
It does have intentions of being an evergreen show, but yeah, it can, because I mean, okay, I think of it's really not directly related, but it does make me think of Angels in America, in the sense that it was bringing up issues, but it was bringing up, and that was a specific time. Angels in America specifically takes place in the 1980s in a specific place, and that's what was going on at that time, and that's why Angels in America can. You can do a show of it today, and it's like it's meant to be that way.
Right.
Yeah, and so it doesn't need updating.
Well, yeah, and I mean, you're dealing with fiction versus nonfiction, and
Yeah, that too.
and when
That too.
you're doing a show that's trying to represent. I don't know if you can hear my computer. I'm sorry.
Is that your computer doing
I thought it was me. I keep looking around. I'm like, I'm not getting any messages.
It's me.
It's your cacao going nuts.
I think
Facebook.
I think it might be from Facebook when I let
It's
that
Facebook Messenger.
on the Oh no, it's Facebook Messenger. It's stupid people. Anyway, shut up, everybody! Shut up. It's not stupid people. Anyway, what was I saying? I don't even remember.
Oh, we're talking about Vagina
updating
Monologues
Vagina
and
Monologues.
and trans.
Yeah, and it needs to be updated.
Yeah.
And I lost my train of thought. Anyway, yeah.
Well, that was good though. That was good. I mean, we could, yeah.
I think when
the
we
fact
did
that it even
we
happened here and that you got people into a real theater space, that's an amazing feat.
Thank you. We were performing it in Heiwa. So we were performing in
Korea's Broadway.
Yeah, Korea's Broadway. We were performing in a massive 500 seat theater. Like right next to professional Korean productions. It's a huge achievement, and we would do the show with Korean subtitles, and we also had certain pieces would be performed in Korean.
Good.
One of them, Eve Ensler would update it throughout the years, and she wrote a new piece maybe about 10 years ago about the comfort women.
Really?
And
we performed that one.
Yeah, and that piece was written in English, but it was very important to me to have it translated into Korean. And even though I don't speak Korean, so I when I direct in English. It was so important to me to cast a Korean language actress, a Korean actress, and I wanted her to perform it in Korean. So we did that, and we had English subtitles, and I just made sure that anytime she was called to rehearsal, I had my bilingual assistant with me, so that I could direct her.
That's wow.
Because that to me was so. That was the reason why I kept doing it here in Seoul. Yeah.
And
Korea
history.
is,
you made history.
I tell people Korea's about like 20 to 30 years behind the West in terms of catching up to liberal political ideas.
But it happens fast.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. I think it's an accelerated pace.
Yeah. So while people in America might have been like, "Oh God, Vagina Monologues, so passe," like we're still doing that, it was still, even in recent years, relatively new, and so many people in Korea still hadn't even seen it. So
yeah. Yeah. Wow. Excellent.
Yeah.
I just want a little bit of quiet for right now.
Okay, are you gathering your thoughts?
I just wanted. I intentionally did this on the Dark Side of Soul podcast. Is I put in spaces of dead air to create atmosphere. And we do that.
I'm not sure if that translates well into this podcast.
Not this show. Not this.
Or
show.
no, this is when we're all taking drinks. Is that what it is?
What if I just stepped off screen and like peed into my wine glass?
Performance art too. Yes. Do you have to go?
Not like I did last week.
Okay.
It's
How about-
not like a must pee.
How about we give ourselves 15 minutes and we wrap up the show? Is that okay? All right.
Good.
All right.
I want to talk about the Olympics.
Okay. There we go.
You guys don't want to talk about the serious things like banning alcohol and we'll get to it, right?
We'll get to it.
We'll
Okay.
get to that.
We'll get to that. We'll talk about the Olympics first.
Because I didn't realize that was you. I was at the Olympics,
I
for
knew
like
it
the
was.
opening ceremony and a lot of it. And I'm like, well, I don't think I really knew you back then.
No, you probably just knew of me.
I knew of you, but I don't think we had actually ever met. So therefore, it would make sense that I didn't recognize that it was your voice. But after the fact, I found out, I was like, I know her. I
Yeah.
know her. I mean, like I contacted my best friend from college who flew over to come with me because this was a pact that we made. So I was working at Arirang News back when they won the bid, and I had to work until because we were airing like the bid announcement and all of that live on TV. So I had to, as copy editor, I had to stay there until we did it. So that was kind of cool, like being in the newsroom, watching it live as they announced
That's so
that.
cool.
It was amazing. And immediately I hopped on Facebook and I'm like, hey, so the Olympics, Pyeongchang won. And she's like, all right, here's the deal. If you're still living in Korea, I'm coming. We're going to do Olympics together. And we did it.
That's
That's
amazing.
amazing.
We did it. It was also kind of like a big deal because my mom's dream was always to go see the Olympics. And so after she passed away, it like get on like a whole new meeting because I was like going there for both of us. But yeah, I'm like, after I found that out, I messaged my best friend. I was like, I know that voice that we heard. I know her. I know her.
I would do that.
Well, now you're making me feel real bad because here's the most whack thing. I didn't even go.
Ah.
I know. I should have gone. I don't know.
That's one of those. But you had a U2 concert to catch, you know.
Probably. Well, and I even asked them, the studio where I did all of the recording for it. I was like, hey, like, can you contact your person at the Olympics and like can you get me tickets to anything? I'll go see anything. I was like, but really like figure skating, but like anything.
Oh, that's a hard one. Figure
skating
was
That's
impossible
what I
to get.
wanted.
They were so expensive.
But he couldn't get me anything, and it's sort of crazy sometimes to voice these big brands and these big projects and then not get anything.
Yeah.
That kind of sucks, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
We
went
went
to a lot of cosmetic commercials. I won't name brands, but I used to do a lot, and I would say to them, like just joking, I'd be like, "Oh, like samples? Did you bring me samples?" And they'd be like, "Oh, no sample." And I'd be like,
Oh no.
"What is this good for? What am I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What am I doing this?
What am I doing this for? My demo reel? Who cares?"
Yeah.
The paycheck. It's the
But
free
yeah,
makeup.
no, the Olympics was that was a big get for me. That's
a humongous. I mean, how did you get that?
yeah. That's like remains top of my LinkedIn page.
Yeah, I would keep it up. That would be top of my link.
But I knew it. I knew it.
forever.
I knew at the time. And so what we did was one morning, it's like I had a free night. No one had booked a tour. So I'm like, you want to go to the Olympics? And okay. And we went to go see Women's Skeleton, which was, I'm so happy I went. Because I've always wanted to see the sliding sports, see how fast they really go in real life. And it's fast. And we did that.
Oh, we were there. It was snowboard for us. We were at all the snowboarding things. Saw Shaun White win his third gold medal.
Oh, that's great.
Then he hugged me.
Oh, that's great.
I got a hug.
Well, but we're sitting in line waiting for microwave pizza, and I hear Barry's voice, and I'm like, "Hey, I know her. I know her.
I know that voice."
So it was all of like the, welcome to the whatever arena.
Yeah. That was it.
History, in this sport started, was first accepted at the Olympics in 1931, whatever. It was, so I did like everything, and it was cool. I learned a lot. I also did, remember the little white tiger mascot?
Horangi or something like that. Yeah.
I was the English voice of the character. So I also did Suhorang, and now I'm kicking myself. I'm like, why didn't I go to the Olympics? What's wrong with me?
That'd be weird just to hear yourself all the time. It's got to be so surreal. It's like if you go there. You took the KTX there because you're also the voice of KTX.
Yeah. I was like, how does that feel if you get on the KTX and you're like, that's my voice?
Yeah,
if I actually had fans, it could be like the Barri tour of Korea. And now we're going to go to Uri Bank ATM where you can hear me.
Only in English, though. Only the English one.
Now we're going to go ride the escalators at the Times Square Mall. Everyone, buckle up. Yeah, it's random. I love being a voice actor. I really do. But people often ask me well, where would I hear you? And I'm like, oh, do you ride the elevator at City Hall?
Yeah, it's those things. It's like I'm the soundtrack of your life. That's what I am.
You might know me from the Samsung HR onboarding e-learning course.
Troy McClure.
Yeah.
Well, that's how it is. I mean that's so cool that you get in everything. There's this one. Oh, there's always this one Arirang voice narrator. Who always sounded like George Takei or something. And I don't know his name, but I hear he's like a mentor to everyone. But whenever he's on, he always talks like this. And
is it Park Jong-hong?
I don't know. But
a mentor to everyone. I mean, I think of Richard.
I think that might be Park
It might be Richard. Really?
Is it Richard?
I was thirsty until I saw this face.
I mean, if we're talking about English language voiceover.
Yeah, it's English language.
Who is the papa, who is the mentor to all of us.
Yeah, he was all over Arirang, but he was also the voice of the Icheon National Museum because he was on the headsets. I remember I was listening to him on the headsets. It's like
Mike Irwin, maybe.
No, he's a Korean. He was Korean or Korean American.
Oh, then probably then Richard.
Yeah, maybe Richard. Okay. Yeah.
Richard, Jason Lee.
Maybe. No, it wasn't Jason. It wasn't Jason. I know Jason's voice.
That doesn't sound like Jason.
Then it had to be Richard. Yeah.
Okay. Just saying. Yeah. Just saying. I know
There's a reason we call him the king.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Hi, Richard. Hire me, book me.
He's watching. Yeah. Actually, the people who are listening and watching might want to know more about how to break into the biz. Now, I know you just did a great podcast with Kelly, who was on our show way back.
Yeah, I mean, oh gosh, breaking into voiceover. I hate to even say breaking in. It's COVID has really screwed the business.
Okay.
But I would suggest anyone looking to do voice acting in Seoul, go to can't talk anymore. I'm a voice actor. Go watch or listen to the podcast I did with Kelly Francis, and that pretty much lays out step by step what to do.
Yeah. Basically, go to one of the top agents for English speakers and get a demo reel, basically.
Yeah, and what I'll say, and I also said it on Kelly's show, is it takes a hustle. You can't have the kind of personality where you say, well, I went in and I auditioned and then they just never called me, so I gave up. No, Like you need to be, it's so obnoxious, but you need to be messaging everyone that you know and, that owns a studio or books jobs. If you don't have any work, send a message every Friday, every Thursday or Friday being like, oh, I have some openings next week. Just in case anything comes in the last. Yeah. I mean, it takes a constant hustle. And
yeah, I need to do that. I need
10 years into my career in Korea, with COVID, I had to go back to a hustle, especially when people are looking for deals and cheaper options.
That's an issue
I'm
these
very
days.
fortunate that I've risen to a certain point, but then the economy tanks and you need to get creative, because people don't, they'll say, oh, well, we don't need to pay for the top. We just need to get it done. So you just need to get. So anyway, my point is just, even I'm still hustling 10 years in.
Yeah.
You got to market yourself.
You do.
Yeah.
Yeah, my company, we're doing videos right now, and I do the male voiceover for the videos for our company. But we talk about maybe sometimes we need a female voice or a Korean language voice, and they're trying to think, well, Joe, do you know anyone who we can get to do this? I'm like, yeah, but you're gonna you're gonna have to pay them at least starting at 300,000 won an hour to do this. Well, can't you get a discount? I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that.
I mean, like, maybe I shouldn't be saying this publicly, but like, I do friend discount,
I've had that.
Like if I have a friend who calls me and says, hey, I'm starting a new podcast, and, say it's an old friend and they have no viewers and, what's it for me to just pop into my booth right behind me and help a friend out? Like especially during COVID. And if it's a genre that I don't typically do as much, I'm like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, something fun to do. Speaking of genres, tell us about tights.
I was about to say.
Oh, tights.
I love tights. I love it.
Oh, I'm so glad you asked about tights. So Tights is a radio play written by one of my very best friends, Greta Wink, very talented writer and actress here in Korea. And she wrote this radio play about superheroes and their alter egos. And it is, if you go on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, we're everywhere. You can find the podcast, and I forget exactly how many episodes it's in, but we broke it up into nice bite-sized, digestible pieces. And we have a cast of well over 20 people from all over the world. We got audio from all kinds of places, but the bulk of the cast is based here in Korea. So it's really special. It's a very Korea production.
What's the premise for someone who's new to it? I mean, it's superheroes, but
right. So the premise is our main character, played by Josh Crute, who's a talented actor in the community. He works at a fast food restaurant, and that's his alter ego, and he's trying to become a super. So he's trying to break into the biz. In the world that Greta has created, it's like a business being a superhero. He meets other superheroes and their alter egos along the way, and I should have been more prepared with my.
No, but
there's 11 episodes actually. I just checked it.
Where can people find that?
Anywhere where podcasts are given away for free. So Stitcher and iTunes. It's everywhere.
The show, I believe. It's also up on YouTube. It's on YouTube under Tights: the show. Yeah.
And like I said, we're on all social media. So if you go to, like, say, our Twitter or our Facebook, the links are there.
Right.
Yeah.
I was there for like the big premiere event, and I just remember watching it, and I'm like, oh.
Well, that's right, you were. Yay.
I was there. I was the one that kept snorting in the background because I was laughing so hard.
It's,
snorting. It sounded like snoring. Snorting.
Snorting.
We recorded 90% of it here in my booth in my house, and we started it before COVID was a thing. We got most of the recording done before COVID started.
Before COVID was in style.
Yeah, before COVID came on the scene. And then, luckily, what we had to finish up was just some small things with individual actors. So we were able to finish it up through COVID and get it out there. And yeah, Greta learned editing. Got it.
Wait, so she'd never done sound editing before this?
No.
Oh, wow. I could not tell. It's really well put together.
Yeah, she did an amazing job. And we're planning to do a spin-off of Tights, which we hope to record with actors in Korea and LA in the coming months. So
I'm sorry, I'm fist pumping. This sounds so exciting.
Yeah,
it's a great show.
It's we didn't intend for it to be a COVID era production, but then that happened, and then it just sort of, we were like, okay, this makes sense that we keep moving forward with this.
Good.
And now we're like, okay, well, it sucks that theater's not open and all, Soul Players and shows Soul Shakespeare and everybody's canceled everything, but we're like, well, we can keep going with this.
We talked about that in the past. It's like doing radio plays, wanting to do stuff, and I'm glad you're doing something. Yeah. That's really cool. I mean,
your enthusiasm for it is making me be like, yeah, we need to pick this up again.
You need that. You need to hear that people are actually listening or watching to keep it going.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or work with great people like Emma to keep it going.
Absolutely.
Sure. Okay. Yes, because I'm single-handedly keeping SeoulPodcast going.
Yeah, you are.
Just me and my face here.
So I have a question. So when you're doing a professional job and the client wants something from you, but they're having a hard time expressing what they need, how do you find that sweet spot that they're looking for?
Yeah, good question. It's really challenging. And, I hate to admit that, 11 years in, I don't speak Korean very well. It's a little shameful.
Join the club.
Believe me, I was shamed by producers from a couple of weeks ago for my Black or Korean first show.
Yeah. I speak like studio Korean. I can get by pretty well, within that context. Yeah, but it's a challenge because a lot of times even though we're recording like an English commercial or, video promo or whatever it is, a lot of times the clients don't speak enough English to really be directing a project. It's changing as clients are getting younger. And younger clients, millennial clients are, they speak English better. They've maybe traveled. They like talking with talent. But yeah, getting that sweet spot. A lot of it just comes from experience, and I can look at a script and just have a pretty good idea of like, oh, okay, this is talking about Korea, the majesty of Korea and Korean innovation technology. And, I can look at the script and know, okay, I know what tone they want. I know what feeling they want.
Yeah.
They want my Korea power tone. So it's about knowing the product and the brand. It's not even a Korean thing. I would apply this if I had clients in America. If you're doing something cosmetics or something lighter, you do a different kind of a style. Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of guessing. And I'll just say to them, like, if I get a sense that I'm not quite hitting what they want, I'll just say, well, why don't we'll just keep trying different things until we get there.
Okay. Because there's a mutual friend of us who had that problem this week when he was on the job. You remember that?
Not,
I don't remember.
today's
I don't remember
perfect.
what they were asking though. I forgot what it
Yeah.
was. And he's a pro too, but it's
Yeah.
it's like that scene from Lost in Translation. They're trying to get Bill Murray with more feeling for relaxing times.
Yeah, like any sort of parody or spoof that you see about voice acting, like it's so true. Like I'll have clients be like, "Oh, we need it to sound like more flat and monotone, but like happier and with more energy." That is common. And
How does that work?
the challenge is okay, so for me, what it means is bringing a technical smile to the recording.
Mm-hmm.
So it means just
You
smiling
speak with a smile.
while I
Yeah.
speak, but I still keep it really flat and monotone because that's what they want. But it's warm and happy.
You can hear the smile.
You can hear the
Mhm.
smile, but you have to actually do it. It's a technical smile.
Mhm.
And yeah, and that helps. But that was hard for me for so many years because English is very sing-songy. And what I'll have clients do is they'll tell me, "Oh, Barry, sounds like this. We want like this."
Yeah.
But then you do that, and especially if you're less experienced in Korea, you do that, and then you just sound. A lot of times they'll say, "Well, okay, now you sound sad," or "Now why so angry?"
It's like we don't
so-
know.
Usually, what they want is that consistent, inspirational tone, but just with a little bit of a smile. Yeah.
Yeah. There is like the voiceover English in America. There's a different type of voice for English in Korea. It's like something that works with the Korean ears
Mhm.
that would not work in America and vice versa. Like
Yeah,
like the phrase, I think I hear this like driving with style.
I
And
call
like,
it my
that would not work in America, saying it that
I
way.
call it my
Driving with
Gyopo
style. Huh?
I call it my Gyopo voice.
Gyopo voice. Oh yeah.
Ah.
Hello and welcome to whatever. Like
Oh my god, you sound just like Jung-ah when you said that. That was good.
because it's my Gyopo voice.
Jung-ah's voice. That was great.
But I think it comes from where it comes from is that way back when English language things were first being made here, the English language voice actresses and actors were Gyopo. They were Korean American, and they have a very specific sound. Most of them are from California or Texas, and it's a very specific sound because they grew up speaking English, but they also grew up learning Korean in their home.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very specific cadence. I couldn't tell someone how to do it, but I've learned it through the years and I can replicate it.
Yeah.
And that it's the kind of English that Koreans are comfortable with hearing. And so since those were the first English language voice actors, when I first started 10 years ago, the agency where I first started, he gave me recordings of the top actresses at the time and said, "Learn how to do this. You need to sound like them." And it was like Lisa Kelly, Jennifer Clyde, and yeah. And so when I first started, I was learning to mimic those sounds. And so it's kind of like this specific sound that is passed down.
Yeah.
And I'm sure now that there are actresses coming in on the scene. I don't work with that agency anymore, but I could probably put money on it that my samples are being played to the new actresses coming in, saying
The circle of life.
the circle of life.
That is totally it. That is it. That's it right there. It's also like the sound of textbooks too.
Oh yeah, I mean there is a sound for Gyoje, and when
And Gyoje, for our listeners who don't know, is
it's textbook educational recording. And there's definitely a sound that's been passed down through the years. Question number one.
Oh yeah.
But it's different. It's a different delivery and tone and style than if I, say was going to do a inspirational. I do a lot of like province commercials. So like.
So you say all the slogans for all the provinces, like Happy Suwon for all the cities.
Yeah, like beautiful Gwangju for beautiful life, or whatever it is. For beautiful well-being life. And usually for that they want like a more oftentimes a lower tone.
Yeah.
And power. They want power tone, inspiration.
Yeah.
For textbook recordings they want middle, like for a woman, like very the middle of your range, like how I'm speaking right now is how they like it.
Yeah.
And sometimes a little bit brighter,
Oh, okay. See, I didn't know that. So I don't think that's why I've been called back for jobs, because when I would do these Gojay recordings, sometimes I try to get all hammy with them. Because I'm like, I try to imagine the situation they're in, and I do like a Shatnerian pause.
I mean, the most important thing for the ESL recordings is consistency.
Yeah.
It's harder than you realize, so you have to be consistent with your tone and with your speed. And they're getting a little more lax in terms of acting and real characters. They have a little more leeway these days. But so I've been in sessions where, one of my fellow voice actors will put on too much of a voice, and the client will say, one more time, like
okay.
normal.
They never told me that. But I was usually working with Jenny Y, and I could sense that she's looking at me like, stop it, Joe, stop doing this.
Too much.
I could sense her doing this.
A big part of being successful with the Gyoje recording is finding that balance between being, it's for educational purposes. And it's got to be entertaining to a point.
Yeah.
Because the main purpose is education.
Yeah.
So you have to find that balance between, keeping it, I don't know, reasonable, and also keeping it interesting.
I'm just not professional. I'm just having fun every time I do it.
I got like one voice, news voice.
And yeah, so yeah, Emma's the voice. Well, we can't say your station now, right?
We can't say where I work,
okay,
but yeah.
Okay, yeah. But I listen to her. I listen to her say the news when I'm getting ready in the morning.
Yes.
And
my first time ever doing a news voice.
And I think it's great. I think it's a great news voice. Yeah.
Great at it.
Well, and like you were saying, like speaking lower, because I guess that's a thing with news reading, or even just like presenting the news on TV. They're like, oh, you need to lower your voice because studies show that people trust what they hear in the news if you're speaking with a lower voice. And I'm like, is this really a thing? And they're like,
yeah, it is true.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So like my natural speaking voice is a little bit higher, and I have to like shove it down a little bit lower when I go into the recording booth. But
I have this other little theory is based on the weather of an area of a region. It also determines like the age and the sex of the meteorologist that's on TV. If it's a place that tends to have a lot of severe weather, it tends to be an older male that's the meteorologist.
Yep.
But if it's a place
England.
If it's a place where, like Korea, nothing ever happens, it's cute young women are the meteorologists. Because if there's a tornado coming, I'm sure they're fine, but you need the gravitas. It's like, yeah, because we had this. Like, I used to work in news, I was always behind the camera, directing, And so we know all the personalities coming in that wanted to be on TV.
Yeah.
And occasionally we would get the person that is like, I'm taking this meteorologist job as a stepping stone for my great career. I'm going to be a star. And knew nothing about meteorology, but they're just doing this to make themselves. And it's like, oh, okay. All right. We'll deal with you.
Oh, not in Oklahoma.
Oh, Oklahoma meteorologists are stars.
We take our meteorology serious.
Yeah, yeah.
And they become stars, but they're serious meteorologists, but they become Gary England. I swear to God, that man is a legend in Oklahoma. He's retired. He's been retired for years now, but still people are just like,
I'm sure.
News 9, Gary England.
I got a small story.
He was in Twister. He was the guy in Twister.
You told me that. Yeah.
Tornadoes coming.
Yeah.
That's Gary England. That's who I watched when tornadoes were coming. That's who we saw. We're always like Channel 9, Gary England.
Love it.
So I got a story. We had this junior meteorologist, sweet guy. He was still in college. But he was always so nervous in front of the camera, and he swallow in the middle of his sentences and stuff. He was like that. We were always trying to pump him up, like, you can do it. So, it was one of the nights I wasn't in the studio, but they were having a tornado warning at the time, and they were keeping track of it. And then they did a show, and then they come back and interrupted the show, and it was pitch black. And it was, all you could hear was the meteorologist's voice. He says, "This is meteorologist. We're huddled in the hallway right now. There's a tornado coming our way. I'm sort of scared right now."
Oh my goodness, that poor kid.
It was one of those moments.
But it brings up an interesting question, are meteorologists allowed to show fear?
Ooh, yeah.
I
think that was classic, though. That was classic.
Yeah,
moment.
yeah.
That would be me. I would be so we're in the hallway. Shit's happening, guys. Get somewhere now.
We did stuff.
Bye.
Like that.
I don't know why we're doing it.
I sort of miss those days. All these ways we were trying to get the anchors to crack up on air and stuff like that. Oh man, we had all these inside jokes. It was, the fun thing was being on the headsets in the middle of the show, because it was like Mystery Science Theater, because the whole crew is just making fun of the show while it's going on.
Right.
It's just too much fun. It's way much fun. Anyway, okay, we're gonna start wrapping up things a little bit. This has been so much fun.
I know. We didn't even talk about all the things we were supposed to talk about.
Well, okay, I will mention this week. This is big in the not only in the expat community, but in Korea in general, because it's actually making Korean news. Is one of the lions of promoting Korean culture, Peter Bartholomew, passed away this week in his sleep. Mm-hmm. I feel so bad, because he was one of the guys I wanted to meet and I never got to meet. Everyone else knew him. He knew everything about Korean traditional architecture. He'd been living in a hanok for over 40 years. He moved into his hanok, I think, the year I was born or something like that. There's a cool
and he
photo.
saved like that entire area.
Yeah, he's been all about rescuing hanoks.
He went up against Oh Se-hoon, our favorite mayor.
Yeah, that was kind of funny. He went up against Oh Se-hoon. He beat Oh Se-hoon, and then later on, Oh Se-hoon had given him a citizenship medal.
I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah,
wow.
That's great. And if you ever hear him, I heard him speak Korean on a show, and he has that, what I call the gentle Yangban style of Korean, Yangban gentleman. Have you ever heard an older aristocrat speak this really gentle, comforting, like almost ASMR Bob Ross style Korean? It's like a wonderful deep voice, and he's just very gentle. It's like, I just want to hear you speak Korean all the time. Yeah. Anyway, his health had been failing, and he passed away, and it's a big deal here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And wish I met him. Everyone else knew him, and I wish I. So that's another point what you were talking about before. It's like, take advantage of these things while you can, because they're not always going to be there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's it. I think. I mean, okay, they're talking about banning alcohol from the Han River, but
Yeah.
that's a zeitgeist. They're going to forget about that next week. So
My quick feeling on that is that if they're going to try to do that, they've got to ban Hui Chic. Otherwise, they're a bunch of hypocrites.
It's them just trying to look like they're doing something while doing nothing. We don't know what alcohol. Okay, so what happened was
We don't even know if it was alcohol that caused his
a young
death.
man was out with his friend one night and then went missing and was found in the Han River. But don't know if it's foul play or anything, but maybe alcohol was involved. And rather than try to do anything, they're just doing this to make it look like they're doing something. We've seen this before. We've seen this.
Well, and they're also attacking COVID onto it as well, saying like, oh, we're worried that too many people are gathering in the Han River parks because they can get there and drink alcohol. I'm like, even if you take away alcohol, those same people are still probably going to go hang out at the Han River parks.
But it's not only that. It's they say they're going to like loud noises and things like that. They're going to try to fine people for basically stuff foreigners do. But this reminds me of way back when Park Geun-hye had first become president, and they went on their first government trip to Washington D.C. And there was an issue where someone on her staff, in her cabinet, sexually harassed a Korean American interpreter while they were.
Oh, I remember that.
Remember that? And what was their solution? Do you remember what their solution was? No more.
It was ridiculous. I just can't remember what it was. I remember thinking it was
no more interns.
Oh yeah, that was it.
Yeah. Rather than punish the people making it, they just removed the temptation.
Oh, that sounds like Christian college all over again.
Wow.
I know what that's like.
This what this sounds like to me. It's like,
yeah,
we can't really fix this, but we're going to do something that looks like we're fixing it.
Yeah. Like after the Seoul ferry tragedy, I actually had several voiceover jobs that were government jobs about like, there were so many new rules about, you can't walk down the escalator in the subway now because it's dangerous. So there was a lot of things like that were overcompensating to make it look like, oh, we're doing something, but really, no, you're not fixing anything.
Yeah, there are bigger safety issues to fix than walking down an escalator.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and it's more than just rules. It's kind of like a general culture. At least that's what I thought at the time, that it was just a culture of people not thinking about safety.
Yeah.
Which is harder to change.
Yeah. Which we explored very in depth in our 4-part series on disasters in Korea on the Dark Side of Seoul podcast.
I need to go back and listen to all of it. I've caught some of it. I need to go listen to all of it.
Oh my gosh. Oh man.
I am a Dark Side of Soul Patreon. So
yes, you
I
are.
need to.
Oh, we do have a Patreon for Soul Podcast. If anyone likes the show.
Yes. Pay us money.
$5 and you get extra stuff.
$5 a month.
$5 a month. You get all of our back episodes all the way back to 2008. And people have paid for it because they want to hear those.
Oh, God.
Because it's a zeitgeist.
I kind of want to hear them. I've heard so many stories.
Yeah, well, that was the feedback I was getting, and they were saying they were really fascinated by how things have changed and how things have not changed in the past 13 years. It is kind of fascinating.
Doing it that long, that's amazing.
Well, on and off. Yeah. And we're now, since COVID's kind of pushed us to go back into the swing of things, and now they have video, and now that people are actually listening to podcasts.
Yeah. Podcasts are cool again.
Yeah.
I know. I'm on one like every other week now. I'm like, yeah, I got.
That's great.
Do my social life now. That's being a podcast guest.
Well, this is great. So this is a great time for plugs. Tell us, where can people find you, where you want them to find you?
Oh, follow me on all the places where you follow someone, like Instagram and Twitter.
Instagram.
Barri.creates is my handle all over the place. Barri. I'm easy to find.
And we also have the series Tights.
Yes.
To promote, reminding everyone of that. And
yes.
Yeah.
Hire me for voiceover work. Please employ me.
She is like the Prada of voice actors in Korea.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
That is great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Barri, for joining us. This was really fun.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
We'll do it again.
We should.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. When things open up and pick up again, and theater's happening again, I'd love to come back.
Ooh, we should do a live show.
Yeah.
With an
With
audience.
people actually there. That would be fun.
But this time we're hiring someone to do the soundboard.
Yes.
I can't do everything. I can't host a show and do the sound and all the tech myself.
No.
All right, everyone. Thank you for listening. Join us next. Remember that we tend to be live either on Facebook or on YouTube. And so join us for our live shows. Until next time, stay safe.
Bye.
The Seoul Podcast is a production of Zenkinshi International, copyright 2021, under the Creative Commons license. Parts of this podcast may be used for non-commercial purposes if you remember to give us credit. You can contact us at sejong@seoulpodcast.com. That's SEJONG@seoulpodcast.com. Follow us on Twitter @King Sejong and on Facebook at facebook.com/SeoulPodcast. For a transcript of this episode, listen to it again and write down what you hear. See you next week. Until then, may you be alerted ahead of time that your apartment is shutting off the water for 2 days.